All right. Good evening once again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today on deep dive into the new futures of SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. So, this is part two. Okay. We'll get started. Let's begin. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you all for joining this session today, right? I understand that it's your weekend, and thank you so much for making your time out and spending your time with us to understand the new features in SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. So let's move on. So about the speakers, so first let me talk about myself. I'm Vignesh Ganeshan. So that's my Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn details. So that's my website if at all anyone is following me. So that's my blog site. In addition to that, I also write actively blogs for C Sharp Corner, European SharePoint Community, Collab 365, and Hubfly blog site. And I'm the organizer for the SharePoint and Office 365 Nerds meetup group in Bangalore. All right. So the next speaker for our session today is, and I'm a technical manager for SharePoint and Office 365 as well. Okay. And our next speaker is Jayanthi. So I'll go ahead and let Jayanthi talk about herself. So Jayanthi, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm myself, Jayanthi, Microsoft Certified Technology Specialist and C Sharp Corner MEP. I'm a SharePoint developer. In addition to SharePoint, I also do work on SQL Server, ASP.NET, Dynamics CRM, and Power BI. Below that is my Twitter handle and LinkedIn. If you guys want to follow me in that, just give me an invite. And I'll be taking care of demo part today. Let's talk more in demo session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so before we even get started, right? So I believe most of us have been working on SharePoint for quite some time. So before I even get started, so how many of you folks who joined our session today are SharePoint developers? Can I get some vote on the chats? So how many of you are SharePoint developers? Maybe you can quickly put it on the chat so that I can get to know our audiences better. So developers by profession, people who work as SharePoint developers. Okay. Anyone else? All right. Okay, so how about administrators? How many of you play the role of a SharePoint or Office 365 administrator in your organization? Let's go for administrators now. So how many of you are administrators? Okay. Okay. All right. So I believe we've got a mix of developers and admins for our session today, which is really good because we are planning to cover both the areas. This is just not meant for developers or just for admins or for decision makers. This is going to be a mix for everyone. All right. So the slide which you're seeing that basically talks about the momentum. Okay, so SharePoint and OneDrive cloud momentum. So as of today, Office 365 is world's #1 SaaS solution. All right. So if you think about the footprints of Office 365 in today's IT market, so 300K organizations are in Office 365, and almost 85% of Fortune 500 organizations are using Office 365, right? And 65% of all seats are online, which I mean that these folks are on the cloud, and there is always a 90% growth in active users. Okay, so Office 365 is a service where people are adopting very rapidly, right? And the phase on which people are going there is very quick, right? So that's the reason we see such a sudden growth, because Office 365 as a service was introduced on 2011. Of course, we had BPOS before that, but right from 2011 it has come a long way, right? And 300% growth in sync usage. And when it comes to Forrester and Gartner's rating, Office 365 always turns out to become #1. Okay, so moving on. So recap. So this session, as I said, this is basically part two, right? So we had part one a few weeks back, and if at all anyone missed it, we'll be giving you the webinar recording as well, wherein you can go ahead and see a part one. This is basically part two, but we thought we'll just do a recap of what we covered on part one. All right. So for end users, we basically spoke about the SharePoint modern experience, the new enriched UI, which you see on SharePoint, basically the modern team sites as well as the communication sites. And then we also spoke about the modern lists and libraries, which is part of your modern UI. And then we also spoke about the sharing improvements. And folks, if at all you're not talking, I don't see a reason for you to be unmute. So please go ahead and mute yourself, because it's going to attract a lot of disturbance for others. So please. Okay, and the next is developers. For developers, we spoke about SPFX, and in fact there was a detailed webinar a couple of weeks back. We had two parts in detail on SharePoint framework. We'll also be sharing the recording for that as well. And then for administrators, we showed you the rich capabilities on the new SharePoint Admin Center, and we also spoke about the ideal session timeout. We also spoke about ideal session timeout, and we also spoke about site scoped conditional access policies, right? So this is what we covered in part one. Now let me go ahead with part two today. And we also discussed ATP, yes. So this evening, as I said, so this is part two. This is basically our agenda for part two. So we are going to see how SharePoint and OneDrive connects the workplace with intelligent content management and intranets. So we are basically going to see the features in SharePoint and OneDrive under 6 different pillars. So the first pillar is going to be share and work together, wherein we are going to help you understand how OneDrive or the new features in SharePoint is going to help you to share and work together and collaborate effectively, right? And then we are going to talk about inform and engage, wherein we are going to see how the new features in SharePoint can help you folks, can help to keep the business informed, and how you can also engage with your customers, with your peers, or also with anybody whom you need to have business with, right? And then we are going to talk about transform business process. So of course we are going to show some new capabilities in Power Apps and Flow in that pillar. Then we are going to see harness collective knowledge, wherein we are going to talk about some enriched search experience, right? And then protect and manage, because of course none of these pillars would matter if you're not trusting the solution, right? Because security is a prime concern as long as you're using a cloud solution, right? So we are going to see what are the new capabilities which came under protection or security in SharePoint and OneDrive for business. And finally, for developers, we have extend and develop. So what is that we have for developers with these other pillars? We are going to showcase that as well. So moving on, our first pillar is share and work together. So to begin with, we have your OneDrive for business. We all know OneDrive for business as it was few years back. So it had different names. It was called as SkyDrive, SkyDrive Pro, and then it got the name as OneDrive for Business. And today we also have the OneDrive for Business on demand, and it collaborates very seamlessly with all your Office applications, be it your PowerPoint, be it your Excel, be it your Word. The integration is really seamless. And Jayanthi is going to show her in her demo that how you can collaborate effectively using your OneDrive for Business on demand as well as with these Office applications. We are going to show you a deep demo on all the new features on OneDrive on demand. And then the new, of course, I believe most of you might have read this. So today your OneDrive for Business supports 270 plus file types, right? Because most of you as SharePoint folks, we know the limitation when it comes to file types or file extensions in SharePoint, right? Because SharePoint was not meant to adopt all those file extensions, and we always had that limitations. But today Microsoft has heard that concern from its customers, and they've made sure that your OneDrive or SharePoint can support different file extensions, and it has been increased to 270 plus. And we are also going to talk about securely sharing with an external account. This is for your external sharing, and right, so of course you have to enable external sharing in your tenant and do it. That is always there. But then this is an extra layer of protection which Microsoft has introduced when you're sharing your content externally with your customers or with your vendors or suppliers, right? And Jayanthi is going to show a demo on that as well. And IRM syncing, I believe most of us have seen this issue for quite some time. You cannot go ahead and sync a document which has IRM enabled, and that was always a drawback for many years, and today Microsoft has even fixed that for us. So you can also sync the documents which are protected with IRM to your OneDrive for Business client. So the next thing is Office 365 groups. I believe everybody knows Office 365 groups. That future doesn't need an explanation, right? We all know what it can do, and we all know the futures, or we all know what are the workloads which comes within an Office 365 group, right? So today we are going to show you some new enhancements which have been introduced in Office 365 group, which is persistent to your SharePoint Online, right? And we're also going to show you the mobile experience for your SharePoint app. There has been some new enhancements to the SharePoint mobile app as well. So we are going to show that as well to you. And the most key feature of this pillar here is connecting your team site to an existing Office 365 group. So this has still not rolled out to most of the tenants, but Microsoft has already announced this feature. And with this, you can go ahead and connect your SharePoint Classic team site to an Office 365 group. It is basically like converting your classic team site to an Office 365 group so that you get all the features of an Office 365 group to your team site. So, and we're also going to show you how it works, and we're also going to talk about the SharePoint modernization scanner, which is basically a tool that you would run in your tenant. It will scan all the classic SharePoint sites, and it is going to tell you whether the site can be converted as a modern team site or not. Okay, so that's all I have for this pillar, and I'll see you soon in the next pillar. So, and now I'm going to give it to Jayanthi for a demo. So let me share my screen with her. All right. So folks, let me also tell you that this session will be switching screens between myself and her because she has to take care of the demo part. So I hope you guys understand that. So thank you. So Jayanthi, over to you.
Okay, welcome you all once again. Could you guys quickly comment on chat that all can hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, so my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, let's quickly take into the demo and I'll show you how improving the ways which you share and work together. I'm going to start first OneDrive files and demand. So as Vignesh explained, I hope you all aware what OneDrive for Business is all about. And I'll explain you what these features came into the picture. So this is the most awaiting feature rolled out to us in a long time. So just have a bit understanding about what's OneDrive files and demand. So basically, it will help you to access all your files in OneDrive and SharePoint without having to download all of them in your local device. And it won't take storage space. So let's see how to enable these features in your device. First, let's make sure you should have a Windows 10 Fall Creators update in your machine, and that it should be 16299 or later, and also ensure that you have a latest OneDrive for Business inclined. So I just installed Windows 10 latest Fall Creator update, and you can see I just logged in my OneDrive for Business and just go to my settings. So on the settings panel, you can have an option files and demand. You have to check this option. So like save space and download files as you use them, and just click OK. So before that, I just want to tell you, like here you can add your personal account as well as your work account. That is OneDrive for Business account. You can sync your OneDrive for Business files as well as your SharePoint files. So once everything is ready, so I just sync my OneDrive for Business files with my local desktop. So as you see in the screen, there's a rich look experience. And once the files and demand option is enabled, you can see three different options. So this called, so let's have a clear picture on that. So this simple. So once all your files sync to your local drive, all your files having this simple. So it means that online files don't take up space on your computer. So whenever you require, you just click on that file and view an internet. Or if it is, if you don't have an internet option in your machine, what you can do, you just make it as a offline, locally available files by right clicking the file. Anyway, I'll show it in a demo. So it's like whenever you require to access your file. So say, for example, I have some important documents in my local drive. I just want to keep on working on that. And also that I want to sync with my OneDrive for Business whenever I got an intranet. So that time you can make your file as a locally available file. Then if you want to keep it as a always available file, in that sense, it will always, it's not synced with your intranet. I mean, it's always locally available. Even you can access it in offline. So if you want to make sure you're editing the file and sync up with your internet. So let me show you how these three different options working in your OneDrive for Business sync. So how, let's take this example. So it's now synced with my internet. It's now a view only file. Either I can go and if you have an internet, only you can see this file. If it's offline, you can't see it. So I just go and open it. So what it can do, it will download the copy of your file and you can see it. So now it's your locally available file. So I just read out what the image is all about. I just want to go back and make it as view online. So now it won't take up your space. So see, let's example, just take any files. You can see these properties. So it won't take much space on your disk. So whenever you make it locally available file, then it will take some space on your device. I just go into the properties and see the size of that file. So see here, the size on disk is now 56 KB. And if you are thinking like I just want this file, I want to keep it always, it's synced with my local drive, then you can make it as always keep on this device. Then the symbol will change into this part. So you can either work it in offline, whenever you get an internet, you can sync up with your file. So once your need is completed, then you just make sure you just go and view online. So then the file will be synced with your internet, it won't occupy your space. This is the way it will work out. So it's like, as Vignesh explained, OneDrive for Business and SharePoint now support 270 plus file types. So as you see here in the screen, the rich previews, without having to install any applications in my machine, I can see all the different files. So see here, you can see the Adobe Illustrator file. I can see the AutoCAD files, some a bit animated pictures, all different files you can sync up with your OneDrive for Business, and you can see it is in a thumbnail preview. You don't want to install any application to view your Adobe Illustrator file or CAD file, AutoCAD file, or any GIF animated files. So everything you can see it in a thumbnail preview. So and also like OneDrive files and demands gives you the lot of control. Like so, it's not about there's always the file come up with the view only files. Whenever you require, you just go and change the option whatever you want. You want to keep it is on offline, or you can make it always keep on this device. So let's have a scenario like sometimes you might want to make sure your folder does not show up on your device for privacy reasons. For example, you want to hide a personal folder on your work computer. Maybe you are working with different teams in your SharePoint. You have a OneDrive for Business files. You are syncing with your work laptop. So there is some personal folders will be in your OneDrive for Business. If you think like that folder should don't want to see it in your local drive, you simply go ahead and hide the folder. So for enabling that option, you just go to settings, OneDrive for Business. And here you can see the list of folders I'm syncing from OneDrive for Business and SharePoint side. So I just want to hide one of my OneDrive for Business folder. So let's click choose folders and make it hide. I just want to show up this power apps option that show it in my sync it in my local drive, and also I don't want to show this in my local drive. I just uncheck this option and click OK. Now this folder won't be visible in my OneDrive. It's always synced. See here, this folder is not visible now. So now, so important things keep in mind. This OneDrive files and demand feature not yet supported on Mac. So the name itself, Windows 10 File Creators Update, is come up with this feature. Come up with Windows 10 File Creators Update. So it won't support on Mac. And also the people who are working in on-premise SharePoint server document libraries that can't be synced with the new OneDrive for Business sync client. So Microsoft is planning to enable that option in later. And the next thing I'm going to show you here is one of the most requested feature from customer is sharing files from Explorer. Say for example, I'm just syncing my SharePoint and OneDrive for Business files in my local drive. I'm just start working in local kind. I don't want to go to the web and click on share everything. So simply I will work with my local client and right click the file and can share it. So now that option is enabled. So let me go ahead and share any one of the file now. So like I have sync my team site document. So let me go and share. So within a few clicks, you can see the sharing link window. You just copy the link and share it to anyone. So anyone having it will access it. As say for example, in OneDrive for Business, if your organization enabled anonymous access link, you just copy the file. You can send it to your colleagues. People don't want to have any Microsoft account or Office account to access your file. So if you want to securely share, then you can give a Facebook people in your organization. There is a different option while sharing your file. So see here, so if the anonymous access is not enabled, this will be grayed out. And if it is allow only for your internal organization, then you have different options here. People in your organization you can select only for specific people. So you just go ahead and select give the person name to share your file and send. It's just like working with your email attachments. So simply the email invitation will go to the person and they click on the file and directly access it. And one more problem here is, hope you remember, while sharing the link or embed in applications, we've seen a lengthy URL, but it's not the case now. URL has shrunk 100%. So let me copy the link once again and show you. So just let's understand the folder structure now. So have a sync with my team site documents. Inside that have a folder called admin document, and inside that I have a two nested folder structure D1 and D2, and after that have a one more folder parent structures D3. So here I'm sharing the file. So in earlier we have a lengthy URL for this folder structure, nested structure, but now it will shrink up the URL link. So let me copy the link and show it to you in a notepad. So see here, I can see the site name and one the shrink file. So what are the nested folder structure you have? This doesn't matter. You can have a shrink file structure. So within a single line link, you can share it to your colleague and make access of it. So now let me switch into my Word application. So that's also an application we often use. Let's say an example. So I'm just working on this Excel file. I just want to share it with my colleague. So locally, I'm working with one of the document. I just want to share with my colleague how it will work. So while sharing an option, while click on that, the same behavior you will get it in all the Office applications. Whatever you will work with Word or will work with Excel or PPT. First, it will ask you to save your file in a cloud, and then it will share you. It will give share access to people. So once again, just click share. It will take a few. So now you can see the same look and feel. You can see the same set of capability I just shown you in a Windows, right? So we have this unified sharing experience now across File Explorer and all your Office applications. So let me gonna something share, and the same way it will work. You just copy the link or share. You can mention the people name and share it to the person. So even if you are working with client application, if you are storing your files to OneDrive for Business, if anonymous access is enabled, still you have an option to share with your external users. That one-time password verification code will send to the user. Then without they have a Gmail account or any live account, or if they can simply use it. I don't want to have Office account or something Microsoft account to use it. Any email address, if you give and share it to the person, that one-time verification code will be sent to them, and after verification is done, that simply they can go ahead and access the document. So I'll show you the demo, but that there is some, I heard that there is some problem with sharing files to external users. So then Microsoft is fixing on it. So last week is working fine. There is some bit problem with sending the verification code. So maybe in fix it in 1 or 2 days. So now let me switch into the OneDrive web. So there is a lot of new stuff added in that. So I'll just take you to the OneDrive web. So right now I'm on the screen, OneDrive for Business web file. So as you see, the rich look and feel, have some GIF files, have a Adobe Illustrator file, and have some AutoCAD files, and as well as have some Office and Word application. So this is a rich UI you can see in your console. If you want, you can make it as a, as earlier we have seen this feature in a tile view, but now you can see it as in a, it is a more large menu. If you want, you can make it as a tile menu, and you can set back it back with the large menus. And here is the bubble icon. You can see other recently created and modified files. So what are the new documents recently created in your OneDrive for Business? And if you have shared any files to them, is there any modification done by others? You can see all the activities in this by clicking this bubble icon. And I'm wonder people actually looking at the file what I'm sharing, say for example, I have a meeting tomorrow and I'm just going to share one file. I just want to see who are all access my document, and when they access that information, it would be better for me to understand how many of them are seen my file while I share with them. So let me show you how that function works. So while mouse over the file, you can see the option 5 views. So you can click see details. And you can understand who are all accessing my files and when they access. You can see the recent activity and below that the detailed information about the particular file. And also to make you understand clearly, and if you want to know, so what are the files shared by you and what are the files are shared with others. So here is a shared button. You can see what are the files shared with me, what are the files shared by me. So it will make you clear understanding about it. Can categorize the files in different formats. So now one more noteworthy feature here is here we have seen right as before OneDrive for Business. If we enable IRM protected information rights management, if we enable this feature in our OneDrive for Business or SharePoint document library, it won't allow us to sync with our local drive. So it will throw you an error like it's an unsupported feature. It's we can't. This is not a correct folder structure. Something it will throw you an error. But now it's not the case. Now let me take you into the SharePoint Classic theme site. I just show you have enabled IRM settings in my one of my document library, and let's try to think how it will behave. So hope you all aware this IRM is the information rights management that will something helps you to prevent sensitive information being printed or downloaded or forwarded or copied by unauthorized people. So this feature was helpful for us to protect our document library, SharePoint document library, and OneDrive for Business. But while work with OneDrive sync client, but it won't allow us to sync. So it's something this feature we waited most of the time. So now this feature is enabled. So just I'll show you how the IRM is enabled. So here I just enable this IRM policy for my document library. Something is I just putting a restricted by IT policy. So whenever I'm opening the document in online, it will show you this document is protected by IT policy. Just make sure if you're sharing with other users, just share securely. Like you can see here, restricted by IT policy. So now if I try to sync this file with my local client, then it automatically sync. So if you are installed rights management service client in your machine, so whenever you try to share your files from your local drive, so like if you're setting view only permission with any one of the file which is protected by IRM policy, then the file, if the file is shared to other person, the same permission will be applied to them as well. They can't able to download or print or copy. They can't forward anything with that document. So you can see here, it's syncing up. So let me show you the documents. So Shishapkana. So here is a team site documents. So it's getting synced. So and after that, once you have it in your local drive, then you can start playing with that. So you can share it to your internal people, or you can share it with your securely with your external people as well. The same policy will be applied with your local files as well, which is synced with your SharePoint team site. So now let's see how to connect with your classic site to Office Way group. So hope you all aware what Office Way group is all about. No need to explain it's what it is and all. So now it's time to bring the power of Office Way groups to your classic team sites. Let's say you have hundreds of team sites which you would like to modernize to get them smoothly connected with your teams and planner. So then now, you may have a 20 to 25 classic team sites. You would like that should be converted to Office groups in the sense. Then there is some future it's not available now in the UI level. So it's not yet released now. Here one more option will come like connect to your new Office group. But still we have an option to play with of PowerShell script. So let me show you how. So before converting your teams, like classic team site to Office Day group, let's have understanding like whether your site collection is eligible for Groupify. Groupify is called, you can say like you can connect with your new Office Day group. First, we need to understand whether a site is eligible or not. You say, for example, you have some customized modern page, or you have a customized document library. If you may have supplied some custom JavaScript in your documents and custom lists, you may have confusion like whether I can able to connect with the new Office or not. Now, here is the case: you can use SharePoint modernization scanner tool to access your readiness of the site collection. So this tool is something about, it's a great resource up to plan out your site modernization strategy and helps you understand which sites are ready to grouply connected. So let me show you what the tool is all about and how it will works and how to connect our classic team site to your new Office 65 group. So first let me show you the path to download the SharePoint modernization scanner tool. So you can download this tool being here, like UI experience scanner. You can download the file, and also they given some instruction how to use this, how to install this UI experience scanner tool. And for using the tool, so once you click download, it will be synced to your local drive. So I just already downloaded this file. So here is the file. So to execute this file, you just copy this path. So I'm already in the path. You just go to the path, which is that SharePoint modernization scanner is downloaded. That's it. That's downloaded in my D drive. I just gone to the path. So now I just run this file, exe file. See here how we can use this SharePoint monitor. Here is a clear instruction. So there is a two-way to analyze your all site collections, whether it's eligible for Groupify or not. First, you have to create a client ID and client secret to analyze your SharePoint site collection. That you can do it in a tenant level or you can do it in a site collection level. Other option here is one option is go with creating a client ID and client secret, and you can analyze your site collection. Other option is you can go with the tenant. If you are having a SharePoint admin permission, you can pass your admin credential, then you can analyze your all SharePoint site collection. So make sure if you go with the second option, you should have a permission to all the site collections. So the user who is running this tool, what are the sites access to him, then only this tool analyze those site collections. So the make sure if you have permission for all the site collection to run this. So in that case, better you can go with by creating a client ID and client secret. Let me show you how to create the client ID and client secret in tenant level. I just go into my admin panel. So here is a shortcut URL. You just go and create a client ID underscore layout slash 15 slash average new. So most of you are joining the SharePoint developers. You may aware for install deploying your provider hosted app. First, you have to create a client ID and client secret. Or if you are talking with any native applications, you can play with this client ID and client secret. Right. So let me go and generate. So give some title. You can give any name like www.localhost.com, and you can give some redirect URI. It's not the case. And click create. So once you have created the client ID and client secret, just note down this ID. After generating this ID, you have to set the app only permission so that you can analyze all your site collections. So for this, you have to go into give a app only permission. In this URL, just type app inv, this shortcut URL. Pass the client ID to get the details which you have created. So here is my client ID. So let me look up to retrieve all the information. Now let's give a app, set the app only permission policy. So you can get this code in that GitHub as itself. You just copy it. From the moment you download the file, you can see all the steps for creating your client ID and client secret and setting the app permission level. So from here, you can copy the code. And just make sure you are setting only allow app only policy. To create and trust the file. So now we have a client ID and client secret handy. Just format the structure. So here is the command to check the groupify option. So I have that command in my notepad. So here you can pass your tenant name and it's a client ID, and here you can pass the client secret. Just copy this copy this format. So say for example, my site collection having minimal content. Say for example, you have 20 to 25 different site collection have a huge content. It may take maybe even half day or 1 day itself. If it is a small content, then that will complete within 10 or 5 minutes. So it's analyzing my overall tenant. So what it will do, it will simply create one folder for you and with 5 files. If there is any error, then you can see that error report. And you can see the overall scanning report in one Excel file. So now the process is completed. Let me go and see you the files just generated by the scanning tool. So today is 19. So it's generated one new folder for me. So here is I have seen 5 different files. So here I can see the error list, and if there is something problem, you don't have a permission to analyze your site collection, you can see all that error list in this file, Excel file. And here is the file. Exactly, I can see whether my site collection is eligible for Groupify or not. I'm just opening that file. So here you can see that option ready for Groupify. So as of now, this Groupify will support only for your modern theme site template. So if you have any publishing other template blogs or something, then it won't support. So have one classic theme site, classic only. So yeah, it's allow for Groupify. So and also have a some more site collections, SP communication site and all. And if your site is already groupified, you can see that option as well. So if there is any blockers, you can see this site has already have office groups. This is incompatible web template because it's a search site, so it won't allow. And also it's the publishing feature is enabled, so it's not eligible for groupify. And it will also tell if there is any incorrect template you are using apart from theme site template. It will show you that is an incompatible template, you can't groupify. And you can see something like your site is eligible for Groupify, but there is some warnings that you can see the warning list over here. And whether your group mode is private or public, you can see all the different options over here. So now one of my site is eligible for Groupify. So let me go ahead and select the site collection and let me try to connect with my new Office Pay group. So first let's look at how the look and feel will be before connecting to new Office Pay group. So as you all aware, this is classic Teamsite homepage. You can see the different options over here. So this is the way it will manage the permissions. So while going to the site permissions, whenever the new site collection is created, it will create 3 groups for you, like classic, new, owners, members, and visitors. Now let me go ahead and connect this site to my new Office Pay group. So for connecting this classic site to new Office Pay group, we have a PowerShell command. So first, you as a SharePoint admin connect your SharePoint site first by using connect-spo service. Hope you are all aware of that command. Now, straightly, let me go ahead and connect my classic site to the new Office 65 group. So for this, you have that command, -SPO site Office 65 group. So you can apply the classic team site URL. So this is my classic team site URL. And I want my Office 65 new modern experience team name would be modern SP site. I will mention it this. And so the name modern SP site, alias name. So order request barrack is okay. Let me try something on my head. I just pass their classic site URL and display name is modern UI. Alias name is modern UI. So now it will convert your classic team site to new Office 65 group. So it will create a new Office 65 group for you. And also top of that, you can use, there is a groups creator for, you can join that group in a Teams, in a Planner, and Yammer. So now let's go ahead and see the homepage. So now it's converted to a modern team site. And no need to worry about your site permissions. Like in your classic site, you have managed some permission levels. So let me show you. So if your classic team site have a set of owners and members, that the same set of owners and members will be added in your new modern site. So just go to advanced permissions. So in my classic team site, I just added some owners before. I'm sorry, the members, I think. So here site, I just added some members before in a visitors group. So now they added in a Office a new site visitors. So let me go ahead and see the advanced permissions. Here is a modern UI visitors. Now these three groups will be remodified with as per your new modern Office group name. So I just named it as a modern UI as the Office group name. So it will create a three groups for you as converted your classic theme sites groups with this name, modern UI visitors, modern UI members, and modern UI owners. So what are the permission list you have already in your classic site that will be automatically structured into your new Office group. So what are the member list you have in a visitor group? The same will be in your new Office modern group. If you want to add any users here, you can add it. That will be synced everywhere. So you can go ahead and access your Office group in your Outlook or a Teams or a Planner. The same list of members will be there. And if you have grant permission from SharePoint side, that will sync with your all Office groups whenever you use in Outlook. Or if you are adding your new person in being in your Outlook, then that will be synced with your SharePoint site as well. Now, so this site owners will be considered as a site collection administrators, like they will act as a site collection administrator. Hope you all noticed whenever you create a new modern team site, there will be only three options. So site owners will act as a site collection administrator. So the same concept here. All the site owners are considered as a site collection administrators. So like only like who are all the persons can have access to connect your classic teams site to Office 65 group? The person who are in site collection administrator groups, they only have a permission to connect your classic site to Office 65 group. So if you are an admin, if you want to control administrator don't want to connect your classic site to Office group, that you can control it in your SharePoint Online Admin Center. So that's it. It's over to you, Vignesh.
All right, thank you, Jayanthi. All right, folks. So yeah, so that was a detailed demo under that pillar. All right, so Let's move ahead with the next pillar that we have. So next is inform and engage people. So under this pillar, what we are going to talk about is your basically everybody knows the communication side. So once again, that is a template which doesn't need any explanation. So most of the folks who are joined here as developers, and even for that matter, if you're an administrator, right, if at all you've taken a look at that UI, you know the amount of work which has gone into that. It's not quite possible for us to sit and develop something like that, right? It's going to just take months to develop such a great UI and have that site up and running. So communication site has been around for more than a year today, and it has really got many positive reviews, right? So we'll be showing you some new capabilities there as well. And then we have the SharePoint News mobile app. So this is something which is really new, right? In your SharePoint mobile app, you have something called as the Me tab, from where you can go ahead and see all your SharePoint news. So you have something called as a news page in your modern team site, as well as in your communication site, wherein whatever news are posted there, you can go ahead and see that in your the Me tab on your SharePoint mobile app, right? And then you also have this social bar. It is similar to your views which you get in your Facebook or in your LinkedIn. So how many people have viewed your news, so how many people have viewed your post. So even those kind of insights can be got from using that social bar. Okay, now the next new feature which is going to be rolled out, but unfortunately we do not have a demo on this because this feature is not already out, is something called as view your SharePoint pages and new articles within your Microsoft Teams. So anybody who knows Microsoft Teams, you know how great the product is. So it is sort of a toolbox which brings everything together, right? So today inside your Microsoft Teams channel, you can have a SharePoint page. So that is something which is rolling out new, and we'll be showing you a demo on this later, because we do not have this feature at the moment. But please be informed that this is coming out. So if at all your customer or maybe you as an organization had this need in the past, so the good news is you're having this now. So the differences between team site and a communication site, right? We all know a team site is meant for us, for a team to collaborate effectively and work on a common use case, right? Your team site could be for a department, it could be for a people who are working on a project for extranet. Maybe you want to collaborate with your partners or with your customers, and maybe you're planning a committee, right? Maybe you want to work on, you want to collaborate and work on a certain plan. So in that case, you'll be having a team site because it is meant to collaborate only within a team, whereas a communication site has a different idea altogether. A communication site cannot be called as a team site, even though end of the day you collaborate there and do whatever it is. But then a communication site, as the name itself says, it is meant for communicating with your employees or with your peers, right? It could be for a campaign, or maybe it could be an event which you're planning to run in your organization, and you want to have a website for that, so that people can go ahead and understand what that event is all about, and all those kind of information can be got from that communication site. So basically that is why you would go for a communication site, for communicating an information, wherein a team site is to collaborate effectively within the team. Now the big news which we have here is something called a SharePoint hub sites. I believe most of you might have already read this, right? We all know the hub site is coming, right? And for folks who are not aware of this, so this is something which can be used, to connect your SharePoint team site as well as your communication site. Now what happens when both of these things are connected is the experience from both these templates come together, from both these sites come together. When I say experience, right, the news activities from your communication site as well as the news activities from your team site, there you can find that under one single pane. You don't need to go to two different sites to see the news from there as well as from here, right? And you can search. The search experience is kind of centralized between these two sites. Whatever search keyword you given on the search box, it will search for the documents from your team site as well, from that communication site as well. And if at all you have a question on who configures this hub, it will be basically an administrator who configures the hub, and he'll be linking a team site as well as a communication site. So you can go ahead and connect hundreds and hundreds of such sites to a single hub. So basically it'll be an administrator who will be doing it. If you think about in our organization, what we decide is we'll create a hub for every country. Let's say for India, we'll create a hub, and whatever sites have the people from India, right, we'll connect all those team sites as well as communication sites to India. Similarly, if we'll create a hub for America, similarly we'll create a hub for France. So that's how we want to do it. And in your organization, it could be a different scenario wherein you want to do it for specific business units such as HR, maybe such as for and it could be like let's say development, consulting, or it could be support services. So it's all about how you want to do it. But today this is possible, wherein you can link your sites to a hub so that people can get the information seamlessly from all the sites that is linked to the hub. So if at all you want to see a mental model of this, like how this is exactly is going to look like. So basically, in any organization, you will be having a SharePoint site. If at all it is your intranet, it could be a company-wide intranet, and then you would be having SharePoint site for policies, your HR policies, your transport policies, and it could be for any given matter. We have a lot of policies when it comes to an IT organization. It could be even legal policy or something of that sort. And then for record center, we could have a SharePoint site. And it's just not that. We could have SharePoint for legal portal as well as for expense tracker, right? So this is basically the reasons why anybody would have a SharePoint in an organization. So what happens is we start creating a lot of team sites for this purpose. We could have a team site for sales, for customer connections, travel innovations, vendor agreements, wherein you want to keep the documents specific to these topics specific in those sites only. Now, what happens is with all these new rich capabilities which is coming into SharePoint, such as your communication sites, right? You're going ahead and you're going to create some more sites. And with the communication site, as I said, it is mainly meant for communicating something. So you could have communication sites for recognitions and rewards, new hires, big wins, wherein any person who joins the company can go ahead and visit the site and you can get the details from there. Now, basically what a hub is going to do is, as I just explained, it's going to connect a team site as well as a communication site like this. So as I said, it'll all be connected. So there's the search experience, the news roll up, and there are a couple of more things which gets stacked up. And just from one single console, you can view everything. And let's say today you're connected to a hub, and tomorrow there is some change in the organization or there is some change in the business need. You can always go ahead and remove from a hub and connect to a different hub. Even that is possible, right? It is not that once you're connected to a hub and later there comes a change in the plan, or maybe there is a change in the organization structure, that you cannot go ahead and remove the hub. That's not the case. You can always go ahead and disconnect from the hub and add yourself to a different hub. This is what hub sites is all about. So hopefully by the end of May, as so Microsoft promised that hopefully by the end of May all the tenants should be having it. So maybe if your customers or you, maybe for internally in your IT organization, you're looking for that, please make sure that you're planning for this. This is really going to be great, and I'm pretty sure your customers or your business is going to love this when you're going to implement hub sites. Now, as I said, this is the experience with your hub site, your team sites, and you have communication sites. And this is the data that gets spread across these two templates, right? The news activity, share files and data, and the Power Apps. So everything gets shared between these two things. Yeah. So theme, logo. So it's all about that. And then the next pillar that we have is transform business processes, right? So of course there has been a lot of work. Even when in the case of SharePoint, we had a lot of work that we would do manually. And now with the introduction of these two cool features called as Power Apps and Microsoft Flow, it has saved our lives, wherein it doesn't really require any development skill set for you to go ahead and develop something or to automate a flow. Even any average end user can go ahead and he can customize and create a mobile app which would be called as a power app, and then you have any average user can create a flow for himself, and it will be, and it comes under Microsoft Flow, right? For many months we've been had this question to Microsoft, like, can I go ahead and create a power apps web part, right? Because of course power apps, end of the day, it seems to feel like a mobile app. On the surface it looks like a mobile app because it's mainly meant for a mobile screen. It is not meant for a PC screen, right? And for many years we had this question. So today you can go ahead and integrate your power app as a web part to your SharePoint homepage. So we are going to show you a small demo on all the features that we discussed. So over to you, Jayanthi. Before, let me just go ahead and switch it back to Jayanthi.
So, okay, thank you, Vignesh. Hope you all have a bit understanding about inform and engage and personalized, the transform your business process and harness collective knowledge, right? So here is with SharePoint, so you can, in inform and engage, we already, Vignesh explains what's modern team site and communication site and upside is gonna roll out. So here is something new as a SharePoint news. Let's talk more in that. So we already have had a detailed webinar on SharePoint team site and communication site. I just go and look into that. So now let me connect my mobile screen and I'll show you how inform and engage people and group in across the organization with SharePoint news. So hope you can see my screen now. So if yes, please confirm in chat window something. I started
Yes.
sharing my
Can,
screen.
can
Yes,
see.
okay, all right. So hope you all know with SharePoint, any users can create beautiful sites and pages to inform and engage people and groups across the organization. So it's something like your pages and sites looks great in browser across Windows Mobile and Mac and really light up in SharePoint mobile applications as well. So this is a pretty cool features, a SharePoint mobile app. Let's keep you update while we are on the go. So let me open my SharePoint SharePoint app I just installed in my Android phone. So here you can see different news channels. I mean, different news articles which is shared across the teams. So what are the news I have created in a different team site collection that will be listed here. You can keep up to date the information. So is there any select they are celebrating any events, they are launch any product update in their organization, or if they are giving some important information in their modern team site, or if there is any communications is going on, that they are giving a detailed introduction about and they are writing some news about it. You can see all the news in this news tab. So as you see in the screen at bottom, you can see different options: news, links, sites, people, and me. So in the first page, you can see the different news articles, which is from all your team sites. So let me go ahead, and as you see from top of the screen, this is called news from sites. Something now if there is any news article, but you really want to, there is a lot of articles will be posted in every weeks or month. So if there is any important article, but really wanted to read out, but I have quite of the time, I can bookmark it and save it later. So what you can do, you just click on particular news article. On top of the ribbon bar, you can see this bookmark option. So if you don't have a time, you just touch that bookmark option, and later on you have time, then you just go and go through that article. So we have that such option in your mobile app. So let's just go back and see all the different news channels. So see the rich experience in your mobile phone. So I'm writing a news about a SharePoint modernization scanner over here. So it looks great in your mobile phone, and it looks great in your iOS and Android as well. So if you want to give some comment, be in your mobile phone, you just give a comment. And if you'd like to share, then you can also just good. You can post to your comment, and you can see it in your web or as well as you can mobile. And if you'd like to share this particular, if you're really interested in this, or if you really like this feature, you just share this a link to your WhatsApp, or if you're link this chat to your Gmail or Outlook account, you can share with other users as well. So based on the site permission, it will work like your team site is enabled for internal and external access. Then you can share this link to other users as well. And also you can see how many of them have read on your SharePoint news. So you can see the two views. I just read out my screen. So while click on the two views, you can see that different people who have seen this article. So now I have just bookmarked two important news article in my SharePoint news. You can see the top of the screen. You can see the count is 2. At the lowest side of the screen, you can see the one more option added, like some Meet tab. Just click on that. So on the Meet tab, I can get the items I saved and catch up with them when I have time. So I just bookmark one page, right? I just click on the save. So I just added 3 news important articles to catch up. I just click on that. I can see. So I can see the whole news article over here, the same look and feel which you have seen in your SharePoint news. And as well as have a one more tab in addition, the recent view. Let me see the content across my internet, not just files and site, and also the list and news, so I can catch up the things happen. So SharePoint mobile also help me to get some site URL access. Like you can see the list of sites, so which is having a permission to access that. So I have a different site, a team site, and have a site for communication site, and below the site I'm following. Being here, you just go ahead and click any of the site. You can get up to date with your SharePoint mobile app. You can see the news, you can see your all the shared documents, and you can see the sites you are following, and if there is any important links you have to follow, you can see all the things over here. So that's it. And next is transform your business process. So Microsoft Flow will help you to automate your business process and Power Apps. You all know we already had a detailed webinar on Power Apps. Without writing any code, you can create intelligent applications in a Power App console. So this is where the console, you will create your mobile app and sync with your, you will connect with your OneDrive for business, you will connect with your, you can play with your shop and list items, and you can connect with other data sources as well. So now here is, I just want to embed this Power Apps. I just want to access this mobile app and web application in my SharePoint site. So earlier, what we used to embed this application, we just used the iframe tag, but now it's not the case. We have a separate web part for embedding this Power Apps. So let me go ahead and install that. I mean, import that web part, and I'll show you how Power Apps app is embedding in a SharePoint site. So first, for insert your Power App web part in your SharePoint site, you have access to the particular app you would like to embed in your SharePoint site. So I have a new request app. I just want to give this access to my one of my communication site. So I just copy the web link over here, or you can either copy the web link or app ID. So using this web link or app ID, you can directly embed this. You can directly access this Power Apps web part in your SharePoint site. So now I just copy this web link. Let me take you into this one of my SharePoint communication site. As of now, this web part is available in SharePoint communication site. Maybe in later on you can get this feature in SharePoint Modern Team site as well. So let me click on my SharePoint communication site. Click edit. So let me add a Power App web part. So just expand this menu to see all the new web part items. So see, here is a Microsoft Power Apps web part. So you can paste the link which I have copied and publish it. So it's really useful to us to access a Power App console, Power Apps app inside the SharePoint page. So you can directly access this app being in SharePoint communication site. You can make use of it. So next thing, I just really excited to show you today the intelligent personalized search experience powered by Microsoft Graph. So let me take you into the SharePoint homepage. So we have this personalized search experience. I mean, the whole range of new experience. You can see, hope you people experience this. So you can see it in a Windows, you can see it in Bing, and most importantly in SharePoint side. So in SharePoint, search is not a new tool or technology. I'm sure you all know, but there is some big transformation happening around search and discovery. Let me quickly take you to the SharePoint homepage and show you how the personalized search experience will work. So this is a homepage. This is a great place to start your day. When you look back your activity news that's happening in the site. This all happened by Microsoft Graph. So it will gather what are the recent sites you are accessing, what are the files you are accessing, what are the sites you are following. So from the moment I click here in the search box, this search anticipate your needs. It's giving you the suggestion for the sites and files you recently worked and visited. Like you can see here is without typing anything, it's suggesting there's some sites and files. So let me go ahead and type some characters to see the whole experience. Let me type something called Power Apps. So being here, you can see the names contains a Power App, all the files. So if you want to click on the file, you just click it and see in the whole window. So this will appear in your screen. So without leaving your SharePoint home page, you can access the particular document. And below that, you can see here, you can scroll the slides from being here without going to the new tab and scrolling down. So being in the same page, you can view all the files and slide by scrolling here. So, and here is the option to click more search result. You can see the whole new experience. So here we can get the new beautiful intelligent experience. So see here is a list of files and sites having the name Power Apps. So this experience really already intelligent, right? It's not just intelligence on the background and what we are doing in Microsoft Graph, and also that intelligent in terms of Microsoft Graph. You can get a relevant item, PPT, and some list items. Not only the sites and items, you can also get a list items with the name of Power Apps. So you can go ahead and unfold this tab. So being here, this will be modified, this IRM protected. Okay. So being here itself, you can, this file will be loaded. You can scrolling down and you can up, you can see the overall file. So without leaving this search experience, so everything you can get it in a single page. So and one more thing here is you can even type. You can find the image objects. Like say for example, so most of the peoples won't remember the name. They are like if they are working with the different files, they won't remember the file name and file URL. So by simply typing that name in the search bar, it will give you all the result. Say for example, I just recently I made one client side project. I just want to make my trip. I want to make my client process, but I have uploaded my all my bills somewhere, but I forget where I have uploaded. But I only know I have eaten. I have some food expense bill I have uploaded. I know what I have eat, but what I have ate the time, but I just forget of the bill. So at the time that in that bill, I just have the name, or I just remember that name, chicken, something. I ate some pork. So let me something type in that bill. I have that bill with the chicken I just ate in that time. Just type it with the name. So see here is how intelligent it is. It will even search the object inside the image. So if you have that image, you forget that option. So like if something is the bill is captured with the different list items, you can see here like it will list out all the bill item names. So how what all things have taken in the food expense. Let's see, open that image. See here is a chicken and this ML Balkan. I just had one of my colleague had his pork back. People have this much crime expense. We have it in handy. So you can see here this every image object will be captured and you can see it here is an option. You can search with any one of the image object types. So now it's not the case and before. Now this experiences came out. Even you can search with your image object types. What are the images we have uploaded? It will capture, it will scan all your image objects. Each and every object will be captured by this personalized research experience. You can even search and categorize with the name. And everyone, hope you experience this new people card experience whenever you mouse over the particular person. So you can see this people card experience. So you can get access of this file. So their contact information, they are about their and what the files they are working with. So you can simply search the files you work with. Say for example, you are searching something, and like so I've shared some files with Vignesh. So let me search something about him. Show more. So the files. So somebody of I just shared one Excel file to him, but maybe in some point of time you will collaboratively you will work with your colleagues. Maybe it's 100 to 115 documents, but you have somewhere you share one document, but you forget that document where it's located. But you can simply search the name of that file. You can simply the files you collaborate with Vignesh. I'm just typing this, you can get it. So if there is any hundreds, I have only one file shared with them. So if there is any thousands of files, you can simply type any one of the image, file name, it will automatically give up. And what are the files you have permission, what are the files you have collaborated with Vignesh, so your colleagues. So this is the way your SharePoint search experience will intelligently capture your all the image objects, and it will help you to capture the file names and what exactly you are looking for. It will help you to find out the content what exactly you're looking for. Yes, Vignesh, done. I done.
All right, thanks for the demo, Jayanthi. So folks, to move on. So our next pillar is harness collective knowledge. And I believe the contents which we wanted to show has been explained by Jayanthi. So let me move on. So under Harness Collective Knowledge, it is all about how your communication sites are going to help you to stay interacted. So because if you think about earlier, if the management wants to send you some communications, right, we had this concept called as newsletter, wherein a newsletter will be sent every week or once in a month where they'll come up with all the updates. But with the experience such as communication site, wherein you can also have your communication site embed with Yammer web parts, right? So if there is a new announcement from your management and you want to have Yammer conversations going on, those Yammer web parts can be embedded here so that you can stay connected. You don't need to go to a newsletter, which is a different experience there, and you have this different. So basically what Microsoft is trying to do is it's trying to avoid all your manual work and make sure that you have a single console to stay connected, and that's what Harness Collective Knowledge is all about under that pillar. And the next one is the personalized search experience. And I believe Jayanthi already showed the personalized search experience. She spoke about how you could share your files and how you could search for a file. And when you're searching for a file, how in the thumbnail view itself, you can navigate to all the files in the PowerPoint slide just to make sure that whether that is the slide that you're looking for, right? And the other key information which I want you folks to be aware of is LinkedIn integration is also coming out for your Office 365. So what happens with LinkedIn integration is, as of today, I believe that it's only available for the tenants in the US. It's going to slowly roll out for all the tenants across the globe. So what happens with this is you have to go to your Azure AD, and under your user properties, you'll be seeing this option where you need to turn it on. Once done, when you're mouse overing a user's profile, it will also show him his LinkedIn details as well, wherein you can go ahead and see the LinkedIn profile of that user. And in addition to that, let's say from HR, they are hunting for a talent, maybe they're hunting for a resource, right? They go to the SharePoint search box and just type SharePoint. Maybe they're looking for a SharePoint resource. It will start fetching all the information for LinkedIn from LinkedIn for all the people who have their skill set as SharePoint, right? Just from one single console, they can go ahead and do it. But then you folks need to be aware this could have a different impact as well, wherein there is a scenario wherein you're searching for a job and your HR sees that. So just make sure that you plan this accordingly. But then this is also available today, all right? And track the value of your site. So this is something which we all been asking Microsoft for quite some time, because in on-premises it was there. With your search, you can go and see top queries, and then you can see how many people visited your site. So many things were there, and for some reason this was not available in online for quite some time, and this is now rolling out for your modern team site as well, wherein this bar that you see here, it will give you an insight on how many views have been there in your site, and how many people have viewed it on a month wise, day wise. Everything can be tracked from here. So under protect and manage is our next pillar. Under here, what we have here is the new SharePoint Admin Center. So we have already spoken enough about the new SharePoint Admin Center. I'm not going to spend my time talking more about that. I believe most of you might have visited the Admin Center and got a feel for yourself, like how exactly it looks like and what are the controls that you can do on the new Admin Center. Next is multi-geo support, which is one of my favorite topics. Once I'm done with this slide, I'll give you a detailed introduction on what multi-geo support is all about. So basically, admins, you guys need to focus on this part because this is for you. And the service level encryption with customer key. Office 365 as a service, it's highly encrypted, right? And one of my webinars, which I was talking about security and compliance, I've given a detailed demo on how the encryption mechanism works for SharePoint, OneDrive, for your contents in Microsoft's data centers, right? They all, when we speak about data, we speak about data at transit, at data as well as data in rest, right? And your data has to be encrypted when it is on rest and also when it is on transit. So basically there should be some encryption algorithm. So what happens with your service level encryption with customer key is, this is an additional layer of security on top of the encryption algorithm which Microsoft follows on their data centers. Here what happens is, using the encryption algorithm in your own organization, you can develop a key, and that key can be used to encrypt the contents of your SharePoint and OneDrive, which is kept in Microsoft data centers. It is basically you will be holding the key for that. So in addition to the security layer which Microsoft provides, you as a customer can hold your own key also, and you can protect your documents. Of course, this needs a lot of deep dive, and when I'm talking about security and compliance in a different session, I'll do a detailed demo about the service level encryption with customer key. But for now, be aware that this feature is also available. This has to go with your Azure as well. You need to have an Azure subscription, and you need to configure that. Then we have conditional access policies per site, wherein you can configure conditional access only to a specific site. Let's say that is a HR site or a legal site, and let's say a user is trying to access that SharePoint site from an unmanaged device which is not managed from Intune or Azure AD, right? He cannot go ahead and sync the documents. So you can even have those kind of policies kicking in using your conditional access policies. And the new feature which is also rolling out, folks, this is not yet available yet, but very soon it will be available, which is your restore my OneDrive, right? So this is similar to a system restore. Let's say whatever changes you have made, you can go ahead and restore it back to a different point so that all the changes gets revert back. So similar thing is available for your OneDrive as well, wherein an end user can go ahead, this diagram which you're seeing here, he can go ahead and switch between dates and he'll be able to restore the changes that he has made. This is also something which is coming up. Now, my favorite part, as I said, is your Office 365 multi-geo, right? So admins, and if at all you're if at all you're working with your legal team, so please pay attention to this. So what happens with your multi-geo support is, just imagine, we all know that Office 365 is a service which is on the backend, it uses multi-tenancy, which means on the same tenant on which your data is located, a different customer's data will also be located. That is called as multi-tenancy. Now with Office 365 multi-geo, what happens is your tenant will be expanded to multiple geographical locations. Let's say if there is some business reason or some data residency laws, most of the countries have this, and we are also awaiting for GDPR. We are just 1 week away to hit the GDPR's deadline date, right? And the workloads which support this multi-geo as of today are your OneDrive for Business, Exchange, and SharePoint. And for that matter, even Office 365 groups, because your Office 365 groups is a product which is built on top of your SharePoint, your Exchange, and all those things. So your multi-geo as of today is currently available for customers who have not less than 5,000 licenses, because as the name itself says multi-geo, it is meant for a multinational organization which has its branches on multiple geographical locations. Now let me try to explain this using a small illustration so that you folks can understand this better. So what happens is, let's say there is an organization called as Contessa. They have their contessa.com, right? And this organization is a multinational company, and their primary office is North America. So let's say they set up their tenant also. Let's say while choosing their Office 365, they said my tenant, my data should be sitting on North America. And since this is a multinational company, right, and they also have to abide to some data residency laws. When I say data residency laws, today we have laws which says that my data should be within my logical boundary, right? Let's say that's the case for UK, and many other countries are having this. In China, most of us even know that Office 365 is not managed by Microsoft in China. We have 21 Vianet, which is taking care of Office 365 there, right? So what happens here is, you have something called a satellite location, which means you as an admin can segregate users. Let's say there are users from Europe who are part of your organization, right? So you can move those users to that Europe location. So those guys' data will be moved to Europe data center, Office 365 data center. Similar way, you have Australia as a satellite location, so your data will be moved there. In this way, your data residency laws will be taken care, because it won't be leaving the boundary of your country or your continent. It will be there, right? Now, we shouldn't be mistakenly taking this as this is going to act as a silver bullet for your network problems, because mostly what happens in the world of on-premises is, if there is some latency in a specific location, what we'll do is we'll have a data center set up there. We'll have let's say in the case of SharePoint, we'll have some front-end servers or app servers configured there so that it will take care of all the latency. But that is not the understanding here. You shouldn't misunderstand this as once I'm moving my data there, my network latency issues will be taken care of. That is not at all the scenario. This is just to make sure that your data residency is taken care of, right? So if your legal team, or maybe if you're working for a customer, or if your organization has such kind of requirement, please watch out for this. This is in preview at the moment, and very soon it will be rolled out, and I urge you all to go ahead and take a look at this. So how this works on the surface, right? So this is how it works. So this is basically a PowerShell command. Let's say a new user joins your organization. You have created his Office 365 account, his UPN, you have assigned his license. So you as an admin can go ahead and run this PowerShell command, and you see that last pipe which says preferred data location. Let's say if that guy has joined in Europe and you are the Office 365 admin managing Office 365 from India, you can set his preferred data location as Europe. And once your tenant is under multi-geo support, all his SharePoint, his Exchange, as well as his OneDrive will be created. Initially, his Exchange as well as his OneDrive will be created on Europe data center, because basically it's Exchange and OneDrive which is meant for him. Of course, SharePoint is meant for a people to collaborate with each other. let's say SharePoint, let's say there is a specific team which is operating from Europe, and in that case you can say that the SharePoint site has to be created there. But initially, to begin with, this is how you would create a user and move his data to a different geographical location. And this is also there for your AAD Connect Sync tool as well. You have this new attribute which says prefer data location, so that if at all you're syncing users from your on-premises to your Azure AD, you can have this checkbox enabled, and this is going to take care of the rest. Let's say there is an existing user. Let's say this guy is already existing in your tenant. Maybe he was working from Hong Kong, which comes under APAC, and later he moves to US, and he's going to be there for quite some time, right? Which comes under NA. Even in that case, you can run this PowerShell command, which is called as start SPO user content move, and you can give his source location and his destination data location, and you can move his OneDrive and Exchange content there. Even that is also possible, right? So setting preferred data location, this is what you need to follow for cloud users. That is, you don't need to worry. There is a detailed documentation for this in Microsoft's website right from the scratch, like how you can get started with this and what you need to do. But please bear in mind that at this moment, this multi-geo support is only supported for your OneDrive, Exchange, and SharePoint. And of course, there is a reason to this, because these are the only workloads in Office 365 where you will be saving your data. Of course, apart from those, all those things are the services which work on top of this, but they don't really hold your data. So that's exactly why you have this only for these three workloads now. Maybe eventually Microsoft can roll it out for Teams or for some other services. And you can also configure specific policies to your geographical location. Let's say there is a SharePoint site which is called as European legal policy, or some European, which is specific only to Europe, right? You can have a legal policy which will be specific only to that site, only to that location, so that a user, when he's trying to sync that site contents to his OneDrive, it will tell him that no, you can't do that because it's a legal site, and he'll get this kind of a banner. This is basically an impact of your conditional access policy in a single site collection level. But what I'm trying to say is you can have the policies only specific to specific geographical locations. Let's say for India users, you can say that, yeah, you can obviously go ahead and sync it, I don't mind. At the same point of time, you can restrict people from Europe syncing the contents. So you can have your policies specific to different geographical locations. You as an admin can go ahead and configure it. Now let's say how the admin view looks for this, right? So the OneDrive admin page for a multi-geo tenant, this is how it looks like. So when you log into your OneDrive admin center, you'll be seeing different locations. These are all your satellite locations, and it says, you see here, it is showing as APAC. You can just change, you can choose a different location, and this is how you move your users. You can just administer everything from here. So if you see here, this is the admin page. If you pay close attention to this, right, here I've chosen APAC, and the admin center URL is also different for each and every single geographical location, right? Here I've chosen Asia Pacific, and the URL has APAC to it, APC. So here I'll be seeing only the users OneDrives who are part of APAC region, such as your India, people who come under APAC. Similar way, if I'm switching that back to something else such as North America, I'll be able to see the OneDrive admin page only for users for who comes under North America. So this is how it has been isolated as, so that you can go ahead and manage your users appropriately. So this is the SharePoint admin page for multi-geo tenant. The previous one which I showed you is OneDrive. This is SharePoint. So even in the case of SharePoint also, you can have the admin page specific to a specific geographical location, so that you can manage the site specific to that geographical location only. So this, I'm not sure how many customers would be looking for this, but then if you're seriously a customer who has to abide to certain legal policies, then this is something which you need to look at. So this is sort of the architecture for multi-geo support. This was basically taken from your Ignite conference. This explains, maybe later when I'm sharing the slide with you folks, you guys can go ahead and pay attention to the architecture and just get to understand how this has been architectured by Microsoft on their data centers, right? This is how the end user experience will be like. Let's say you're on a multi-geo tenant. You take a look at this slide here. That will be the user, and his location will be shown inside the brackets. And if at all you're sharing, in the mobile app, it will be sharing. And if at all you're sharing a content from your OneDrive, there will be a bracket where it will tell Japan, Australia that this user is part of this geographical location. And this end user experience is only given for your multi-geo tenant and not for all the tenants. So just to make sure that, okay, you're collaborating with the user who is part of this geographical location. So that's the understanding there. And let's say when you're moving to a different location for business, let's say you come to India from North America, even in that case, when you're trying to hit your data, it will automatically redirect you to that location. So your data by itself is sitting there. It's just that you're trying to access it from different IP addresses or from different locations. That doesn't really matter. All that matters is where your data is stored. And as of today, these are the announced geographical locations which supports multi-geo, the global geos, and Microsoft is eventually working on increasing this. And today the available services are Exchange Online is in preview, OneDrive for Business is in preview, and SharePoint Online is under development. So as I already said, this future is in preview at the moment. I'm pretty sure Microsoft is gonna make some changes to this as they hear back from their customers. But please watch out for this. This is something which is really key if at all your organization is interested. Now, the next thing which we want to show you is basically our last pillar, which is extend and develop. And this is something called a SharePoint framework. And we all know this is our first client web part model, which fully supports your SharePoint client side development. I think we have did 2 webinars on this. We have spoken a lot on this. So this basically takes care of all the drawbacks which you had on your SharePoint development, right? So today we are living on the world of APIs. We are speaking either about REST APIs or Graph APIs. And with REST API, whatever click that you're making on the SharePoint admin center, it goes ahead and it triggers a different activity on the Office 365 backend, and it gives you something. Let's say you're trying to click on create a site collection on the backend, it triggers a different activity. It goes to the Office 365 backend workloads, it triggers that activity and it creates that site collection for you, which is basically called as your REST API. And with Graph API, maybe all the reports that you're seeing, all the Office 365 reports that you're fetching is basically Graph API, right? And the best part is your SharePoint framework is just not meant for Office 365. I want to tell you that people who are on-premises, you are not left behind. So Microsoft does care for you as well. So we have SPFX rolling out for SharePoint 2016 as well. If at all you have the Future Pack 2 installed, you're gonna, you can go ahead and enjoy SharePoint framework. So what do we have for on-premises? As I said, it is just not meant for Office 365, and Microsoft doesn't want to leave on-premises customers behind. So the good news is we have the SharePoint migration tool, which is going to help to migrate your contents from your on-premises to online. So this is free tool. So initially a year, last Jan is when Microsoft released it. I think at that point of time, it was considered to be a bare mere tool. There were not much features, but eventually this product has evolved, right? So today the migration tool version 2 has been out. It's been like 2 weeks since this version 2 has gone out, and these are the features which is available in beta as of today. So you can even go ahead and migrate your lists from on-premises to online, and there are a couple of other things which has been supported. So hopefully on July we are planning a detailed demo on this tool where we'll be explaining end to end about all this tool, what are the features, how you can do migration, what kind of migrations can be planned. So please watch out for that. We are working on it, so we'll be doing a detailed webinar on the SharePoint migration tool as well. So for on-premises customers, the big news is 2019 version of your Office 2019 Pro Plus is coming out. Then we have your Exchange Server 2019, SharePoint Server 2019, and Skype for Business 2019. So mid 2018. So hopefully maybe in another 2-3 months, we'll be seeing this SharePoint Server 2019 coming out and we can start playing around. So if at all you want to have a sneak peek of what is coming in SharePoint Server 2019, so the next gen sync client support, and then we have the Power Apps and Flow, which is really great because anybody who has worked with that in online, you just cannot go ahead and say no to that for on-premises customers. This is really great. So you have that for SharePoint Server 2019 as well. And in addition to that, most of the features, I won't say almost, most of the features which you get on your SharePoint Online would be available in your SharePoint Server 2019 as well. Okay. So we've been talking for quite some time. I believe it has been almost close to 90 minutes that we've been talking, and Jayanthi has shown us a demo. So we are almost on the end of our session. So as a recap, we saw SharePoint and OneDrive under 6 different pillars. So we spoke about all the features and rich capabilities which you get under the 6 different pillars, and how it is going to help you to enhance the way you work and how your business can be benefited with that, right? So we spoke about share and work together, inform and engage people, transfer business process, harness collective knowledge, protect and manage, as well as extend and develop. All right. So the conclusion which I'm trying to make here is, or the point which I'm trying to make by this session is this. So Of course, there has been a lot of need for we as SharePoint folks to keep on developing something, to come up with new innovations. Because most of the time when I talk to my friends who are working as SharePoint developers or architects in different companies, the kind of request which comes from their customers is something which can even drive you crazy, right? I mean, you would be wondering, like, is anybody even asking this kind of a development? But of course the business demands, and being a developer, it is your need to take care of it. So with all these new features, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel and develop something there. Okay, what you require or what the business need is already there, and Office 365 is offering you that. So Microsoft has all that taken care of it in the way you want it. So let's leverage these new features and embrace digital transformation in your organization, right? It's all about you telling your customers or your business that this is what we have and this is how we can benefit from this. So that's all I have for our session today. If at all you have any questions, we can go ahead and take it now. Thank you.